Good evening, Dolphin fans. Sorry for the delay. One person told me he couldn't show up tonight. That was Brett. Greg, unfortunately, did not tell me. I told Bobby that I could move the show to tomorrow night. He goes, no, I'll come join you. I miss you, Finstanza. I can't go more than a couple days without you. I cheated on you with Alex. I cheated on you with Sammy. So I'll come spend about an hour, half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour with you, because you'll talk for about 59 of those minutes. Guys, welcome to Finn's Talk Overtime. Maybe we'll have a show tomorrow night. Maybe I'll forgive Brett and Greg tomorrow night. There's so much to talk about in Dolphins land. How could we not have a show? But I didn't want you to put up with just me to look at my ugly face all day. Come on for an hour. So, Bobby, thank you for joining me. You gave up time with your family to spend time with your brother from Canada. How you doing today? How was your day?
The day was good, man. It was a good day. I was getting ready for, usually this is my off day in regards of doing a show. So I was just chilling out with the baby, and I was watching the Royal Rumble from '94. We're going to do that for No Holds Barred tomorrow. And I saw that you were in trouble, and I said, yeah, I could talk some more Dolphins.
Trouble.
And hopped on, man. I'm here, and there's plenty to talk about. You said I'm dolphined out. Never dolphined out. There's plenty to talk about with the Dolphins.
I know.
I will say to Brett and to Greg, you guys want an intro so bad. Try to make your shows, bro.
I made a
that's
promise.
All I'm gonna say.
I made a promise to you, Bobby, and I will commit to this year that if Wingate, you want to come talk, you can come talk. Did you guys not have a draft show this week? Did you guys skip a week?
He's in Disneyland.
But where's Vogel? Vogel's not in Disneyland.
No, it's okay. We're gonna get it going. Well,
I'm going to make a commitment that unless I'm physically on vacation, if I am physically in my home or I'm physically in a place where I can have a podcast, whether it's Thursday, whether it's Friday, worst case Saturday, once a week, you're going to see this ugly face. So, Bobby, there's lots to talk about today in Miami Dolphins land. I sent you a funny topic today, which I thought about today. I've really been thinking about, if you really think about it, I've never seen this many coaches across the NFL. Remember how the season ended, guys? And Bobby, we were talking about we're going to have nothing to talk about. What a boring off season. We're going to talk about Tua, McDaniel staying, et cetera, et cetera. I've never in the NFL seen so much action. You can't even keep up anymore. So one of the main topics I want to talk about with the people in the comments and with you tonight, I've hit the point, and it's not because in a negative way. I actually have been convinced now it doesn't matter who the coach is for this football team, because whoever you hire, Bobby, and I want to get your initial feedback on this. I really reflected on this. We're redoing the entire front office. The front office has the hardest job right now in reformulating this team to be the type of team that can be for consistent winning. They have to hire the right personnel people. They have to hire the right assistant general manager. They have to hire a head coach who then has to form his staff. But in the end, it's about picking the right coach who then will build the staff and then you bring them those players that they can develop to become a consistent football team. But for me, the 2026 season, every candidate that they have brought in, no matter what this week, Bobby, it doesn't matter what podcast you jump on. It doesn't matter what article you read. It's honestly, everybody has a reverse idea of who should be the coach. And every person is looking for a fault in somebody else. I am now, because of how hard I was on Mike McDaniel, Bobby, I am so willing to give the next coach a chance, because the pressure for me is not on the head coach in year one. The job, that person with the most pressure is John Eric Sullivan, to formulate the right head coach, the right personnel people, and the right foundation of who you draft. Because it doesn't matter, like you always say, it doesn't matter. We say this about the draft, and you're going to talk about this with Wingate and Vogel on a weekly basis. It doesn't matter where you pick, it's who you pick. But they have given themselves such a smorgasbord of picks, of people they can choose from, where they're going to garner so much knowledge from all these people that I don't think they can make a bad decision on who's a head coach. I think because whoever they bring in as head coach, Bobby, it's going to be who they feel works best for them. That's why I'm okay, and it doesn't matter to me who the next head coach is, because every single one of them has been in the NFL. Every one of them has been on a football team. Every one of them has a pedigree for a different reason, either played the game or has been on a staff for a long time. There are no newbies here in the NFL. So give me your feedback on that mindset, because I'm sure
No,
about that. I want to give your feedback on that mindset.
Yeah. So I think I think it's right on. I just want to say too, shout out to Miami Sports. Of course, Josh Wingate in the house. Looking forward to when he gets back. We'll get right back into it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about with the draft. Lou's in here. Great to see him as well. Look, I'll be honest with you. From the get-go, from this 2 seasons, I've been saying, hey, whoever the next coach is, he needs to be an experienced coach. I don't give a damn who that is. I'm willing to listen on anybody who's experienced, whether that was a like a Stefanski or a McCarthy, which I know Wingate doesn't like, but a McCarthy or a Rivera or a Raheem Morris or whatever. I wanted to see an experienced coach. Even with this current group, I was still like, I prefer an experienced coach. But the more I sit back and I'm watching how this is playing out, and I see how they're kind of doing things a little bit differently. They are doing a lot differently. Of course, firing the 2 guys, the player personnel, the GM, they get rid of Greer. Marvin Allen is gone. They bring in John Eric Sullivan. They cast this wide net across the league, interviewing different types of coaches on both sides of the ball, a couple of veteran experienced coaches. I'm with you. I'm kind of like, you know what? If this was Greer, I'd still be banging the table for an experienced coach. But because this is a new general manager, I'm at the point now where it's like, you know what? I would be okay with a first-term head coach, because you're starting a fresh with a new guy at GM, a new front office, new coach, new vision, new foundation, new structure moving forward. I've now come now again. If you told me tomorrow, hey Bobby, they're interviewing McCarthy and Raheem Morris, it's Stefanski gets a second interview, I'm cool with that. But if you say no, their 3 final guys is going to be Clint Kubiak, Halfley, and I don't know, Minter or Shula, I'm cool with that too, because they're putting their guy in place. Again, Ross has done something differently. He did so. Everybody goes, it's the same old, same old. Not really. We didn't have the same group of guys picking our coach or our general manager. We're not having Chris Greer run this ship right now. They got Troy Aikman from the outside. They got Silman, who's Ross's son-in-law. We don't know what's his influence on the organization. We do know they've been doing things a little differently. They are doing things differently. Does he have that much influence? Now, they keep Aikman. They say, hey, look, man, thank you for helping us get the GM. Help us stay on with us to help interview the coaches. He's sticking on board. So you know what? I understand the being cautiously optimistic, but I think, or being cautious and being a little nervous and not trusting the organization. They've earned that. But honestly, Evan, I am right now, and I said this to Sammy on Fitz Talk today, who just reposted, so I appreciate Sammy popping in. He's been busy kicking butt in San Juan. I'm cautiously optimistic with the way the Dolphins are doing things. And I think, I understand, like the title sounds like the new coach does not matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to start. No, that's not the point. The point is the way they're doing this, nobody should really be hating on any coach they get. Obviously, we have our preferences. But I think, like Lou says right here, I think it's an underwhelming list, in my opinion. 2 candidates with previous experience come from terrible stints. Here's my thing with that. You're hardly going to get any guy from with experience who didn't have a bad stint, who didn't have a bad run. That's why they're available. Yeah. Let's just be real, and who knows what was going on in that organization, what was going on in that situation. Guys have, they suck at their first job in life. And when they get to their second job, they're like, I learned that lesson. I'm ready to get my second one and go on. So, and then when it comes to the rookie guys, again, Clint Kubiak, Chris Shula, just going on those 2 guys right there first. Shula, everybody goes, oh, there's a lot of people hammering for Shula because he's Shula. He's a Shula. but that's the wrong reason to want him as the head coach. The right reason is what he has done. You know, what he's done with that defense, how he's gotten these rookies to look like the way they've looked, what he's done on his own terms, but also that he grew up. That's where the Shula issue comes. That's not the issue. That's where the Shula thing comes in for me. Is he grew up in football. He grew up learning from not his grandfather, not only his grandfather, but from his father, from his uncle. He has so many resources to pull from. And that goes for Clint Kubiak as well. His father, Gary Kubiak, and all the coaches and whatever he's done in Seattle, that goes as well. So in regards to like Jesse Minter and even Hafley, I'll tell Hafley. Obviously, that's a natural connection for everybody. Oh, it's because we got John Eric Sullivan. We're going to go Hafley. And that's kind of a turnoff for me. Right away, I'm like, I don't want that. We've done that before. Not saying Green Bay, we've done the whole, we got Bill Parcells, then we got Tony Sperano and Jeff Iron. We got everybody from the Cowboys. How did that turn out? But
then we did the Patriots. We did the Patriots.
That's right. So for me, I'm kind of like, I'm not interested just because, like, oh, he's Green Bay. That's kind of like, I don't give a crap if he's from Green Bay. Doesn't mean he's the automatic coach. But if you listen to him, if you actually sit back and you listen to him, I really did.
I think it's tomorrow.
I see, you know, obviously, like, you know, at first I'm turned on, but then you see around the league, there's so many teams interviewing him. He's popular. This is not McDaniel. There's a lot of teams interested in Hafley. And when you listen to him in press conferences, he's pretty damn smart. Maybe we take add this. I can't find it. Yes, it's coming up shortly. I don't know.
I think it's tomorrow. I think. Yeah, but I just wanted to mention something, that one thing that's been different about this week, and we'll talk about both, is Stephen Ross was interviewed, and you talked about it with Sammy, and you also talked a little with Alex. The old Stephen Ross would have blabbed because he puts his foot in his mouth all the time. He didn't talk about the head coaching. You see John Eric Sullivan, he talked about winning. John Eric Sullivan talked about, what do you want? Winning.
Football philosophy.
For me, there's already a sense of the fact that things feel different. We have not had that sense of differentiation in a quarter of a century. So for me, and also I want to make it really clear. People, Harbaugh, Tomlin, this. Mike Tomlin was almost basically being told his fan base wanted him gone, and he walked away, and he had not won a playoff game in over a decade, close to a decade. John Harbaugh got fired over the phone. Steve Bisciotti called him on the phone. Then, in his interview, his press conference, I don't know if you know this, Bobby, 20 minutes before the press conference that Steve Bisciotti had that a couple of days ago, he was interviewing Brian Flores, and everything he spoke about the next head coach sounded like what Brian Flores brings to the table. And when someone asked him the question, if Tyler Loop would have made that kick, would John Harbaugh still be head coach? He goes, for one more week. So even when you think this guy's the big name, just because someone's a big name doesn't mean that they're the right person for you. And by the way, every coach has failed somewhere else. And if anyone thinks that John Harbaugh is going to go to New York, which he hasn't officially signed a contract yet, and is going to be successful in his first year, Cam Scatteraboo is not a home run player. Malik Neighbors has been injury prone. Jackson Dart gets injured in the first year a lot. So there's no guarantee there. Yes, you have Abdul Carter. Yes, you have Thibodeau. You have all, but there's no guarantee there. By the way, most teams that have head coaching positions this year, Bobby, what is the one thing that every team that has a fired head coach have in common? They underperformed this year. The Steelers, even though they made the playoffs, underperformed because they went all in with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Rodgers and etc. The Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson, you have Derrick Henry there. They underperformed. Every team that doesn't have a head coach underperformed. Head coaches are made based on the foundation of the team that they're surrounded by, and they structure it. If Drew Bledsoe was the head coach of was the quarterback, and he would never have gotten injured, we wouldn't know who Tom Brady is. right? You never would have found out who Tom Brady is, right? Or so like, or if Joe Montana didn't didn't whatever happened with Joe Montana as he started to get injured and he had to move on, you wouldn't know who Steve Young is. There's a very understanding that in the NFL, it's about the team concept. And if your team is not built properly and your staffs are not built properly, you're going to fail. Mike McCarthy, 3-12-5 seasons with the Cowboys, and they had a stacked team, but they weren't fundamentally built properly because their general manager did not build them properly because the owner was the general manager who meddled in. So for me, right now, it doesn't matter who the head coach is. I will not be upset with any name they have on that list because I was so over Mike McDaniel, Chris Greer, and Tua that everything they're doing here is different, guys. Everything they're doing is different to me. I have no qualms about what they're doing. I am happy with what they're doing. Interview 100 people for all I care. Take your time, make your pick. They went to get a guy they kept their commitment. In the news, Bobby, we're going to go get a scouting guy went from literally an intern to a VP of player personnel. And that's what I'm okay with. So let me ask you though, what was your initial reaction? I'm sure you talked about it a little bit. Your initial reaction to Darren Waller's interview saying that he was in his exit interview with Mike McDaniel, and then all of a sudden Steve Ross joined in, and then basically Darren Waller was pretty much done, and then next thing you know, 20 minutes later he gets an alert that he's fired. To give you my initial feedback, people are saying, "Oh, that was because of Harbaugh." He said it was Thursday morning. It actually happened within hours. It didn't happen on Tuesday, what people say. It actually happened on the Thursday. And I guarantee you, this was based on the conversations he was having.
Yes. It had to do with the general managers. It had nothing to do
John
with,
Eric Sullivan
with John
basically
Harbaugh.
said, "You want me to be the general manager of this football team? He ain't my head coach." So I think there was a push for Ross from the committee, go can this guy. Did he do it properly? I don't care because he's gone. I don't care because you want an owner. There's no perfect way to fire somebody because the biggest a-hole move in sports in the NFL, Bobby, wasn't there a coach who took a job for like a day or two, then quit, then went to go take a job with somebody else and won 6 Super Bowls with them? Wasn't Bill Belichick the coach for about 10 seconds with the Jets? And wasn't he at a press conference announced as the head coach of the Jets, and then he changed his mind, quit, and went to the Patriots? So there's no good way of doing something. Owners have the right to do whatever they want. He owns the team. He doesn't owe us an explanation for anything that he does. And by the way, he's given himself a little bit of a leash by firing Greer and McDaniel. So for me, he's okay. So what was your reaction to the whole interview with Johnny Manziel and Darren Waller?
Yeah, oh man, it's a cruel business, you know. First off, it revealed that Mike McDaniel truly believed, whether he was told that or not, that he was coming back. And like I told you, you know, you're not fired until you're fired. So you do your job the way you're supposed to do it, and that's what he was doing. He was holding the exit interviews. I do believe that Ross told him, right now, you have a job, but let's go ahead and let this process play out. And like we discussed, I think he was saying, let's leave it to the GM to make that decision. So McDaniel probably thought, I could sway this guy. Maybe it'll work out. I'll be involved in the conversations. And then, like you said, the conversations that were being had in that room were probably like, hey, look, I could do this with McDaniel. And they probably really like John Eric Sullivan. You know, there were pictures being released the night before, from the night before, of Ross with John Eric Sullivan. You see Troy Aikman in that photo. They were probably having this conversation. Sullivan said, hey, look, man, I think I would like to get my own guy. And Ross he said, I'll do it myself. It's my guy. He said it. He said it in the statement. I love Mike McDaniel. He hasn't said it about anybody. It's obvious he cared for Mike McDaniel. So he's the one. It's like killing old Yeller. No, Mom, he's my dog. I got to go do it. No one else is going to do it. So he went and shot Yeller, and that's what happened. And that sucks because, you think about it, Evan, Waller's sitting there. He's like, yeah, I want to come back. And yeah, man, we'd love to have you back. And then Ross comes in out of nowhere and they're talking together, buddy. And then Ross just stands there awkwardly. And McDaniel's kind of like, oh, okay. And Waller's like, I'm going to go downstairs. We're done. And he's like, yeah. So Waller does some massage. Also, he looks at his phone. 20 minutes later, McDaniel's fired. They're like, whoa, okay. So it is what it is. Again, it was the right. I see a lot of people say it is dirty, but
I don't mind it. It makes me actually. I smiled more.
Well, we called it though. I mean, we said it. Even though he was still out of job Sunday night, we were like, it's very quiet from Stephen Ross because remember last season, Evan, you and I were doing post game.
I almost
was
cried.
when that famous press release came out from Ross that Lou was posting over and over again throughout the season. Where we were like, there it is. No press release came out this season. So I told you, until I see that, he's not safe. And he's dumb for thinking he was safe. And I feel for him. No guy, he's a nice guy. Genuinely a nice dude. It's just time. It was time for the split. I know there's some Dolphin fans are like, it's the wrong decision. We didn't get Harbaugh. Had nothing to do with Harbaugh. I'm actually so happy Miami did not go full court press on Harbaugh because if Harbaugh would have dragged us along and it took the Giants job, Miami would be stuck in a rut right now. Instead, Miami casted a wide net. They gave a call to Harbaugh, which you're supposed to do. You're doing your due diligence. Hey, would you be interested? Yeah, but let me talk to these 3 teams and maybe I'll come back to you. Cool. Let's keep going. We're going to keep interviewing everybody else. Yeah. So I'm happy Miami. It had nothing to do with Harbaugh. It did have to do with the general managers. It did have to do that we needed a fresh start. How many years have we been banging the table for a clean slate for the Miami Dolphins? You got it. So yeah, it sucks. It's kind of awkward, and especially that Ross didn't waited for Waller to walk out of the room and go, stay where I need to talk to you, but it's like, I feel for McDaniel, but you know what? Looking at, what has gone down with McDaniel right now, all the interviews he's getting, guys, those who are crying right now, his friend
Don't feel bad for him.
He is absolutely okay. He's going to do fine. And you know what? If he wins next year, I told you we should. No, it wasn't a right fit in Miami. You had to make the move. It's over. It's the same thing when Tannehill went to Tennessee, right? I like Tannehill, but Tannehill going to Tennessee was the right move for Tannehill. You needed the fresh start. He went to the AFC Championship. He had a good run. McDaniel might do that somewhere else. Good for him. Miami needed this. I feel a lot better about Miami's future right now than I ever did in years prior. Even though I know more than likely our team's not going to be the best team because we're going to have to build this up.
Yeah.
But I feel better that the future's brighter. A lot of great comments in here, man. Yeah. Michael, Desiree, really on Schuler, Evan. Go ahead. Go ahead. Respond to those comments.
No, but so for me, the fact that he did them dirty, the fact that Mike McDaniel was such a stubborn head coach in my mind, didn't ever admit. I actually think he regressed as a coach year by year in the sense that his ability. I've been watching a lot of videos of him this week, Bobby, because about how he speaks. He needed to be fired.
I'm sorry. Oh, McDaniel. Sorry. Yeah.
He needed to be fired for his own well-being and for his own growth because he actually, I believe, was in a job that was no longer healthy for him. And I think he needed a fresh start. So for me, it's I don't care how they did it because the fact that Mike McDaniel didn't see the writing on the wall is him being a little obtuse. No Tua, the Tua became a failure at the end. No more Tyreek. 2 losing seasons in a row. No Chris Greer. New general manager search. The fact that he thought that whatever he did this year was gave him a realistic shot to be back after a rebuild that went back to 2019 that turned out to be an utter failure. That to me is somebody who is not willing to admit their own mistakes because he also doesn't take accountability for his actions in the way he actually pushes the ball down the hill a little further anytime you ever challenge him on something.
I just want to say very quick, came out not too long ago, but the Chargers are going to have set up an interview with Mike McDaniel for their offensive coordinator job. So that would be
hilarious.
That would be interesting. That's hilarious. That's cinema. That is like the universe
by the way,
messing with you, brother.
have you seen Dove Kleiman, who's a guy I follow on Twitter? I don't know if you follow Dove Kleiman on X, but he has pictures of
Yeah, I
Mike
used to.
McDaniel in the airport. Have you seen how Mike McDaniel is going to these interviews in those suits?
They're like, yeah. Look,
The guy.
new Ric Flair.
Usually, you want to show up as a professional. You see what John Eric Sullivan was wearing for dinner. He really he wants his wardrobe to define who he is. That not him. He wants to each his own. That's his style.
Yeah, I don't.
That's his
That
style.
don't bother me. That's who he is.
For him at all. When you saw that little video of John Eric Sullivan, the quick little snippet, what was your initial reaction to the? I think it was quick to the point, and what was your initial reaction to his the way he spoke quickly?
So 2 things to that. First off, that's the most, I've seen more fire out of him in that short video than I ever saw out of Chris Greer. I was ready to run through a wall for that guy. He looks, if he said he was going to be our next coach, I think I'd be good with that. I really love the energy he's going to bring there. But I'll say this at the same thing, not to overhype it. I'll see it I'll believe it when I see it. I'm really excited to see, who he brings as a coach, what he does in the draft, how he's going to address free agency. How ballsy he's going to be with Tua's deal. Does he pull what does he pull an Evan, what Evan's been banging, what you've been banging for, from the midseason about cutting Tua straight out? Does he look for a trade? Does he say, hey, look, we're going to hold on to it to at least midseason, see if he could be a bridge? I'm going to be very intrigued to see that, but I'll tell you from what he said all the right things.
Yeah.
Love everything I heard. In the same sense, believe it when I see it.
What are your initial thoughts? Why people like Darren Waller and Johnny Manziel? I guess is it a frat? Is it a frat in the sense that, or is it old boys club? And another way of saying it, how they still play up Tua. Like Darren Waller said, "Oh, Tua's still like able to do it. Like he just had some struggles here, but in practice, he was getting the ball in there. Like I guess that you don't want to throw away. I guess it's basically a softball question, but no one's ever gonna knock a fellow player. Do you think that's what it is? Is more lip service?
Yeah, unless you have something against that guy, if you guys had a falling out, I could see somebody jumping on him. But again, these guys, remember, they've been through everything together. They've probably seen each other's high points, low points. He just has his guys back. Again, there are some people that recognize that Tua is not the same guy that he once was. What you want to blame that on McDaniel? Sure, it's not. To me, it was physical. It was mental regression. From the very beginning, I've always said, what my preference was in the draft, but we got Tua, you support Tua. And again, like I said, even whether you liked him as the starting quarterback or you didn't, you knew there was some good there. You knew sometimes he had great games when he had talent around him. That was not the case the past couple of seasons, whether it's concussions or whatever. He absolutely regressed. So I know there are some players that have said that out loud. There are others who are more friendly who haven't, who said he's still that guy. Let him get into a new system. Watch him go. Let's see what he does. Sure. Maybe. It happens. If you protect him, if you put him in the right situation, I'm sure you should see some things that might make him look good, but no. Tua is not the same Tua. It's all, Evan, it's the same thing, Evan. Even if you knew, if you figured I did something stupid, maybe, and somebody told you that he's pretty stupid, right? What he did, you'd probably, maybe, you'd say, no, Bobby's good, man. Bobby's, even though you believed, and maybe you told me off air, like, hey, Bobby, man, you were wrong. It's just, we're boys. So, you stand up for your guy and on a face, but behind closed doors, you tell me, hey man, no, you got to straighten your shit out.
Yeah.
In front of everybody, you say, hey, I got your back, which is the way it should be. That says more about those guys than something bad, I think.
What I'm saying, I think how far apart the deal. I think they'll end up moving for LaFleur. I would not. People are saying I'm not giving up a draft pick. The only thing about LaFleur is the situation, Bobby. I'm sure you read about it, is that Harbaugh's getting 20, Ben Johnson got 13. Yeah. He's getting 8 to 9. So would Green Bay really give LaFleur $15 million because he'll probably want more? But honestly, LaFleur has been successful, but he hasn't won a Super Bowl, had one losing season. Yes, good coach, but he's also dropped a lot of leads. That's my point. The general thing I want to mention is that Pittsburgh not happy with their head coach. Baltimore not happy with their head coach. Tampa wishes they could fire their head coach. Every team has a gripe with a head coach. People are not happy with how Dan Campbell in the season ended there. People are frustrated with Gary. Every team that does, there's only one team that wins. So 31 other teams, like the Eagles, the fan base hates Sirianni. Once Jalen is done with Jalen Hurts, like that's football's fans. No one's ever going to be happy. The point I've been trying to make is because the Dolphins have done something they have not done in a quarter, and Bobby, since in a I don't know how long, I can't even count anymore. It's a breath of fresh air. And for me, what gave me and I want your feedback on this, what gave me an additional sense of comfort was that we don't normally get to hear from Ross. And even though it was in a different perspective, the fact that he was open and honest and didn't let the cat out of the bag about the head coaching search, the fact that he talked about the fact that he's committed to the state of Florida, the fact that what's happening with the World Cup, what's happening with Formula One, the fact that he wants to hold on to this team and is not there just to make a buck, because the man can make a lot of money selling the entire structure of the Miami Dolphins. The fact that he wants to build up Palm Beach, the fact that this is somebody who's committed to the state of Florida. And the fact is, in the end, I was happy to hear from him. And I was happy to hear what he cares about. And you could see it in his head. He's just a genuine fan who wants his team to be successful, but he's also a loyal, committed person. That is because what allowed him to be successful in business, he thinks he can apply to the football world. And it is true about one thing, and I want to get your opinion on this. GMs are not if you look back, unless you're Scott Pioli or someone like that, not many people get a second chance as general managers. And if we did the research, you and me should do it. The average lifespan of a general manager is much longer than a head coach. Like that, we've always talked about this, is that you blame the head coach, you blame the players. It's very often, it takes a long time to actually blame the general manager. So even though he kept Greer there for a long time, I'm sure if we go look at the general manager of other teams that haven't even been that successful, I'm sure their general managers have also been there for a good period of time. They're given a much longer leash because of development time of players. So give me your feedback on, was it nice to hear from Stephen Ross? The fact that it gave you a little sense that he actually is not just lost and he actually knows what the guy's still a smart businessman and cares about the Dolphins and cares about the community and cares about South Florida. What are your thoughts on that?
I had no doubt ever about what he wanted, that he wants a winning team, how committed he is to the Dolphins. I mean, he paid for that stadium himself, even though he did check, which you should, it's business. You go to see if you could get the money from the state to fund that stadium. They didn't. So what did he put? Money in his mouth. He didn't threaten to leave the Dolphins. Didn't threaten to move Miami, the Dolphins out of Miami. Didn't do none of that. Put the money where his mouth is and paid the money. He has shown that he's committed to that. He has shown a lot with the whole restructures and the bonuses, how much he's committed to trying to put a winning team. His issue has always been having the people in place, hiring the right people, doing the right stuff to make sure you have a winning team to win. You could do all the logos you want. You could have all the F1 races. That doesn't matter to Dolphin fans. What matters is the winning on the field. I know a lot of Dolphin fans care about the throwbacks. I want the throwbacks. I don't give a damn about the uniforms. Wear the new ones. Go back to, I prefer the 2000 throwbacks. I prefer the cartoon Dolphin, but to each their own. I care more about winning. And I know Ross does too. He just hasn't done the right moves, but this time around feels like the right move. Going and cleaning the front office, cleaning house, getting rid of your coach, bringing a new GM, casting this wide net. Step by step. Yes, listening to him only and him admitting that he was offered close to $15 billion for the Miami Dolphins. Of course, that's the stadium, that's F1, that's whatever, but still, that's more, that there's no team that comes close to that amount.
Was the highest.
So he was up, that's a lot of change. We more than likely will never see that. But he said no. He said, he declined it. He's going to pass this off to his children. It's staying in the family. It's not going to Bruce Beal. It's going to his daughter, and Silman, his son-in-law, will take over. God willing, they stay married and everything else, but his son-in-law will take over. So honestly, I was actually I felt encouraged by listening to Stephen Ross that he has a plan in place, that, and also by his actions right now. Again, not sticking with Marino and Shore and Garfunkel and then him going to look for a GM and a coach. No, Silman's involved. Aikman's involved. And I am on the train too. If it happened, Aikman getting a permanent job, I'd be down with that. I like the effects of Troy Aikman so far. And I know he wants a GM job one day and maybe he'll get it, or a VP of football operations. I don't know about that with Miami, but if they could keep him on retainer, I'd be down with that. So no, I really did like what Ross said. And I just want to, Anthony, great to see you, my brother. Manzano in the house. Sticking with what I was saying, thinking how far apart the deal is with LaFleur that Miami ends up trading with him. I'm not holding my breath. And again, I'm absolutely okay if they don't. It's not a lose situation for me. I'm not waiting for LaFleur to not make a deal. If it happens and they want to explore what that may take, okay, cool. Just like they did with Harbaugh and Tomlin. They made a phone call. Hey, would you be interested? Hey, would you, what type of draft capital are you looking for? That's okay. If it's not going to kick you in the nuts, maybe you do it. And then you have a veteran, you have an experienced coach who knows this general manager. They know what they're looking for. Great. If they don't do that, I'm okay with that too. I would love an experienced coach, but because of the new GM, because of the new front office, I'm okay with a rookie coach. It is what it is. It's about the staff they're going to hire. That's the biggest thing. That's what fans should be looking for. Not at the guy. Go look at the guys he's worked with and go, okay, if he was to build a staff, who would he bring on? Who would he bring with them? If you're the Giants right now, the Giants fans, Harbaugh's an awesome get. But it's also who he's bringing with him.
Todd
He
Monken.
could be Todd Monken, the OC, who I brought up as a coaching candidate for Miami midseason. But Todd Monken as the OC. They're saying maybe Anthony Weaver from here, bring him to the Giants. It's still, we have our opinions.
To add that, I want to add that point to you.
Yeah.
That's the true definition of the fact that they really want to clean the slate here, Bobby. He's not getting an interview with the Dolphins. Which
I know.
The Dolphins want to.
You would think, because, and I hate to say, I hate that word. I do, the whole term, but the Rooney Rule, you would think the easiest thing to fulfill that is interview Anthony Weaver. He's a serious candidate, but it helps fulfill that role. They haven't done that. They brought in Patrick Graham. They bring in Calvin Shepard. That fulfills it. But
people are bringing in Mike McDaniel. Wink, wink.
Oh, stop it.
No, he
does.
He qualifies for the Rooney Rule.
He does.
So
what?
No, it's 100% the case. So right now, for me, people are I think honestly, I don't know about you. You always say this to me, Bobby. I think you said this a long time ago when the Dolphins were struggling. We were losing 5 in a row back in 23. In 22, we were choking against the Chargers and the 49ers, and we fell off a cliff at that season. I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan. But what I cannot get over is that this fan base it seems to forget how miserable it was not 3 months ago. When 3 months ago, Chris Greer was still our general manager. Mike McDaniel was still our head coach, and Tua Tagovailoa was still our starting quarterback. Bobby, all three things are no longer the case. All the scouting department is being gutted. So why are people now so upset? Now, this is the best part. Bobby, everyone going around, who should be the general manager? Who should be the general manager? Oh, McDaniel's here. We're going to get the 49ers guys. What are your top people? Oh, Chad Alexander, Harbaugh. Wait, in the end, the best person for the job that the majority of the people wanted, Bobby, was John Eric Sullivan. People are happy. Yay, we got John Eric Sullivan. Not a day later, who is he going to pick for head coach? He better not screw this up. Wait, he better go get Harbaugh. He better go get Stefanski, or he better go get Shula, or he better go get Bobby, this fan base. You're talking about the guy who begged for McDaniel to be fired 3.5 years ago. I am looking at people going, calm down. These people who, I'm not going to tell people how to fan, but if you're going to come around and tell me that if McDaniel is successful elsewhere, this was a bad decision, or the fact that we better get the head coach right. Guys, there's a new head coach coming. There's a new QB going to be here soon, one day, and there's a new general manager. There's a new structure in place. Be happy. Bobby, I think people just want to be unhappy about their team. I think it gives them that sense of, the famous line, Bobby? Are you a glass half full or glass half empty?
Yeah.
Dolphin fans are starving for success so much that they only want to be negative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I'm looking here at the because now I'm thinking, like, I want to go back and look and and see who these guys have worked with. And I went there, and Chris Shula, even though he's a young coach, he's someone who does have a history. He's been around. He's been a part of the San Diego Chargers staff with Mike McCoy and Ken Risenhunt and everything else. Because Lou says, since the world has stopped, Evan tells people, I know, right? I know.
But it's true. Have you not noticed how calm I've been?
Yeah. Lou says here, his concern about great and upcoming head NFL coaches would rather join Harbaugh or a proven coach instead of a rookie coach. I would counter that with this, Lou, because I just said it. The thing with somebody like John Harbaugh, he's going to bring in people he's familiar with. That's why he's bringing in Munkin and possibly Weaver, because those are guys. So those guys, those are out the door. I could see where the younger coaches go get other guys from their older guys who don't have jobs. You bring them in. I would just hope, that, like, if it's Chris Shula, Clint Kubiak might call his own plays. I don't know. I really want a guy who's going to delegate rather than call plays, but that's going to be interesting. Who, does Hafley or Shula or Minter, do they get an actual defensive coordinator and let them do that and focus? That would be the biggest thing for me. That's what I would rather have.
But think about Bobby. If someone told you tomorrow Kevin Stefanski is going to be hired as the head coach of the Dolphins, and your new DC is the guy who's basically, even though the Browns have sucked, that Jim Schwartz is your DC, you're going to complain?
No, absolutely not.
So in the end, Mike McDaniel brought in people that he knew. He took John Embry, a veteran coach from San Francisco, and told him to come along and made him his assistant. So for me, as long as John Eric Sullivan picks the coach he feels fits is a culture setter, and that's why, Bobby, I want to go through the coaches with you, because the one thing I noticed is that a lot of them are what they call alpha males, and I believe that that's what they want. Remember how we never believed that the player empowerment coach was going to become a culture setter. Like, think about this, Bobby. This is the same guy who drove around in his Audi near the trolling Buffalo Bills fans. His players are dancing in the laundry carts, right? So for me, in the end, I just don't want who's basically going to be a culture setter and is going to basically build the foundation of the Miami Dolphins as a respectable football team and a team that can bring consistent winning to us that we haven't experienced in forever, since the Shula days, back to Miami. That's what I want. So let's just start in no random order. Anthony Campanelli, he's a recent one, has had basically went viral with defensive on Hard Knocks. So that's what caught people's eyes. He was in Green Bay, which he has a connection to John Eric Sullivan. He had a top flight defense in Jacksonville under Liam Cohen this year. When you heard Anthony Campanelli, for you, how do you feel with him as a up and coming coach in the NFL?
Yeah, obviously he's a fan favorite, first of all, and based off that whole Hard Knocks video alone, but also what he's done in this league. And if you listen to that video, you kind of get an idea of what type of coach he would be. And then when you see John Alex Sullivan and you saw what Sullivan said in his short thing, you could see what type of culture that team's going to be like: physical, angry, disciplined. Even though I don't want to say like Campanelli, banging the table. I could see that being a culture setter for sure. Yeah.
For me, A+ press conferences, I could best do that. He'll be great in interviews. I can promise you that. This guy will not be saying very much. Patrick Graham, 1 year with the Dolphins in 2019. He was, I believe, with the Giants at one point. A struggling team in with the Raiders. I really don't care who's the coach, but I think he's just he's the meh. Like I don't know what exactly he brings but he's been with he's also been with the Packers. So that's also I think why he's getting a token interview. He's also been with the Packers, so he may have engaged with Patrick. He seems like a very nice guy. He's a defensive guy, but he seems like a very soft to the touch, very nice person. What are your thoughts on Patrick Graham when you saw that name initially?
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised at all. I was expecting his name to pop up. He has been a favorite with teams, with interviews. He gets a lot of head coaching interviews ever since he actually left the Dolphins. So I was actually waiting for that to happen. It did. I don't feel any really sort of way about him. I don't take it seriously. It would be a shock if he was to get the job. So yeah, I don't feel any certain way about it. To me, it's a filler.
Okay. Jeff Hafley, one thing that you can create one of the few people, he has been a head coach at the college level, but obviously he didn't have enough to work with at Boston College. Boston College hasn't had able to be successful in 30 years because of the way that the NIL and the way that the structure and the booster money and everything goes to all the other SEC schools and the ACC. So, the Big Ten. So Jeff Hafley obviously is the more popular name because of the fact that he's a DC in Green Bay. But what are your thoughts on the name Jeff Hafley?
So, like I brought up earlier, at first, I know everybody made that automatic connection because of the Packers, and I get it. But that was automatically a turnoff for me. I was kind of like, I'm not interested. So, but as you look around the league and you see his name being brought up in every coaching destination, he's getting interviews everywhere and anywhere. You start to think like, man, the league knows something we don't, or maybe I'm just not being, I need to drop my bias about the connection and just read into this guy. And so, like you, a lot of these new coaches or possible coaches, I watch them in interviews. I want to see how they talk. I want to see how they do with players. That's one thing that sells me on Shepard a little bit. Shepard, I don't think is a serious candidate, but I think he will be one day to some team because of the way he talks, the way, you talk about a culture change, a cultural setter, that dude legitimately, if you love Campanelli, you're going to love Shepard. But with Hafley, I really like the way he carries himself when he's in press conferences, the way he explains his team, the way he humanizes the press and, it kind of goes on the same level and then gets into football. When he talks football, he knows what the hell he's talking about. So I don't hate it anymore. I know your thing with the crew cut, which I can't overlook now. But honestly, like if that
man needs a haircut.
If it happens, I'm going to be, I wouldn't be too bad against it. Again, I would rather see what type of staff he's going to put together. I hope it's not an all Packer staff. That's my only concern because he's had a limited time in the league. But other than that, no, I think he would be a decent candidate based off what I've seen alone right now. What's up, Eddie? Yeah. Eddie in the house.
Clint Kubiak, that was the first person they interviewed because he was on the bye. Obviously, Gary Kubiak's son. I think he's worked on both sides of the ball. He's getting a lot of interviews. For me, has a pedigree there. He's done well wherever he's gone. But so for me, it doesn't. He probably would want to call his own plays, but he's still an up and coming head coach. So what do you think of Clint Kubiak?
So let me pull this up to look at his job history real quick. In regard to Clint Kubiak, that's a guy like when it came to rookie coaches, I was already, okay, I'm going to move him ahead. Because of that lineage, because of his experience, he's been around the league. I mean, he's been in college, he's coached in college, worked with the Vikings, went back to Kansas, the college, Denver Broncos, Minnesota, back to Denver, San Francisco, New Orleans, Seattle. He's been around the league. He's been around different coaches. He's gonna have a black book. We say yellow pages, but a black book of phone numbers and emails that reach out to other coaches, say, hey, who's willing to come? I'm sure he already has a staff in mind of what he's going to do in a team. And when you listen to him, he's another guy who's very smart. He knows his stuff. So, and he's played in Colorado State as a safety. And this is the other thing too. And this is something, well, let me make sure. Is it him? He was a defensive player. I thought he had also worked on defense, but I don't see that here.
Yeah, he's worked on both sides of the ball.
But that's one thing that was attractive to me as well, that he's been on both sides of the ball. And so that's something that's very interesting and something that attracts me that to him as a coach, as a rookie coach. I think I'd be cool with that one.
Yeah. No, I'm open to that. Pedigree is there. Jesse Minter, Michigan connection, worked with the Ravens, getting a lot of popularity because of what they've been able to do with that defense. Obviously, when you have Derwin James and Khalil Mack in that group, you know what's so funny about watching that game last week? How ironic that two of their starters, Bobby, on the Chargers, were two players that the Dolphins didn't think that were worth anything.
Chris Shula just finished his interview with Miami. Sorry,
That's awesome.
Today. It was
That's
tonight,
awesome.
so he did.
Oh,
Just
great, even better. So Jesse Minter for me. By the way, I was mentioning Deshaun Hadd and Tier Tart were on the starting lineup for the Chargers. How interesting is that, Bobby? Eh? Two players the Dolphins didn't have time for made it onto Jesse Minter's starting lineup, right?
Yeah.
So, and he has Derwin James. But no, Jesse Minter is also a guy who has experience. It's a hot name. What I actually do like, and I want to mention this, Bobby, except for most of the coaches they are interviewing, Bobby, what is the one thing these coaches have that the previous head coach of the Miami Dolphins didn't have? And it's pretty obvious, and it's not a trick question.
Coordinating experience.
They are actually getting requests from interviews
from
other football teams.
We're
not the only ones who actually think these guys are ready to be head coaches. So we're not just doing, let's bet. Like no one, we're not gonna have like that's the thing. No, we're not gonna get. We're gonna get our choice because the person knows they are going to have a long leash here. I'm hearing on the news or people on different podcasts. Oh, the person here is probably not going to be the head coach for long. Don't hold your breath. Whoever they hire is going to be is basically going to have the support of John Eric Sullivan to build this. They are going to take their time. They are not going to rush it, and they're going to find the right guy. And by the way, I actually thought of this, and then I'm going to give him his credit for to Chris Perkins of the South Florida Sun Sentinel to mention this. I hope the GM in John Eric Sullivan answered this question the way I think he should have, and I hope the head coach is asked. How would you have defined the 2023 season for the Miami Dolphins where they were number one in offense? If anyone minces words and does not say that season was an utter total failure, they're not my head coach. They're not my general manager. The last 4 years have been a failure for the Miami Dolphins. There's not one positive to take out of this except Devon Achane. Everything else has been a waste of time. That's what I want to hear from these coaches. So Jesse Minter, what are your thoughts on him?
Plenty of experience. He's another guy that, when a guy's an automated favorite with fans, I kind of automatically I look at everybody else. But obviously college was defensive coordinator with Michigan, coach there, was the head coach for a couple games. He'd only been a coordinator for one season with the Chargers. That's one thing that kind of, bothers me a little bit, but he's been with the Baltimore Ravens for many years with different spots on defense. Notre Dame was his first job, Cincinnati, Indiana. So, I understand why some people are high on him. He's not my first choice. Again, Kubiak, Shula, Hafley, Minter. I wouldn't hate any of them, but he's not my first one.
Okay. Next on the list, we'll just talk about a veteran, Kevin Stefanski. People have been ripping him. Oh, two-time coach of the year, but look what he did. He couldn't build a quarterback. If you want to talk about a franchise where ownership messes things up, where they don't give you the chance to succeed. Yes, I think he has to explain why he thinks Dylan Gabriel should have been over Shedeur. But remember, teams passed on Shedeur Sanders over and over and over. We were on the network, Bobby. We were doing the show for 7 rounds. No Shedeur. So Kevin Stefanski, for me, is the safe pick, is the stabilizing pick that you have respect for the coaching staff. He probably can build a staff, has been around the league, is getting interviews everywhere. So what are your thoughts on Kevin Stefanski? I would have no issues with him being the head coach of the Miami Dolphins.
No, I don't either. I think, again, he's a safe pick. He's the only one who has had an in-person interview with the Miami Dolphins, I think. I don't think anybody else has. I might be wrong, but I don't think anybody has.
No.
But you're right. I know a lot of people are going to, again, failed stint in Cleveland, but how much does that attribute to him? Does it attribute to the dysfunction of that organization with making that big trade for Deshaun Watson? Trusting in Shedeur Sanders, drafting him late and then pushing him up, and the big question mark at the quarterback position, which that falls on him. But again, sometimes a new organization, a fresh start with fresh management might be good. My thing is would he be now? Sammy said this, which is right on. I think it's great that because he comes from Cleveland and what he dealt with Cleveland, he might be the most patient coach out there. But our fans got to be patient. Does hiring Stefanski get fans to start saying, hey, the same thing when we got McDaniel? If McDaniel was coming in right now with this team the way it's coming, there might be a larger window of patience for someone like a McDaniel.
What did I say in 2019?
But because he's coming because he went into that team and you traded for Tyreek and Armstead and Jalen Ramsey, he was the wrong coach. Stefanski would probably be a good coach. Harbaugh at that point would have been a good coach. Because the way this team is, the rookie coach makes a lot more sense. Where does Stefanski say, I'd rather go to, and he is a lead dog in Atlanta. He's the leading candidate. He might go to Atlanta. I'm surprised Harbaugh did not wait to interview with Atlanta or even Tennessee. Tennessee with money and all that. I know Tennessee probably is the bottom tier. Atlanta, to me, looks better than the Giants.
They don't know what they're doing at quarterback yet. They don't trust Penix.
They don't trust Penix, but that's the thing, though. You have everything else. Harbaugh, go get a quarterback.
I know you have London, you have
Drake London, Kyle Pitts, you got Bijan Robinson. Look at their Grady. You got Grady Jarrett. You have all these guys on defense. Like I was very surprised that he really must have just wanted to go to New York, and that's great. That's great. I don't think it had anything to do with the players. I think it had to do with New York going to the Giants. They gave him all the love, but I'm surprised he didn't take. Not Miami, but I was surprised he didn't at least listen to Atlanta and Tennessee.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I would not hate Stefanski at all. Again, I'd like this. I would like to see two names that I'm waiting on. I said this on Finn's Talk today, and maybe I brought it up in East Central Boys. But again, and I know Wingate's thing, but you brought up a great point about Dallas. Mike McCarthy and Raheem Morris.
There's something up with McCarthy. I think people have this.
No, I know.
About him. He's only gained because he's only gotten one interview with Tennessee.
He has, and there must be something there. But I'm, on the outside looking at it without knowing what's inside. And I know Greg brought it up. I know Josh's feelings. Greg brought up that he burned some bridges. I don't know, but I'm just saying, those are two names that I wouldn't mind. If we saw Raheem Morris tomorrow pop up, I wouldn't mind that at all. I'd love that.
Yeah,
I like Raheem Morris, and I know what happened in Atlanta, but I still like Raheem Morris.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Kelvin Shepard, going to be a head coach in this league one day. I'll be the only. In the end, doesn't matter who your head coach is. The only issue I have with him is exactly the issue we had with McDaniel. No one else is asked to speak to him yet.
Yeah.
So because that for me, he is also like a Patrick Graham, where he's coming in, get a feel. Maybe you feel you can maybe make him your DC, and you entice him with a defensive head coach, the DC and a defensive head coach, and a longer leash than in Dallas, because in Detroit. Because by the way, if Detroit doesn't have a good year next year, Dan Campbell could be on the hot seat, right? Because the way that they performed this year. So Kelvin Shepard, I know you have given your thoughts on him, and you think he's going to be a good future head coach, but probably not ready for the job just yet.
No.
Robert Saleh. People are ripping on Robert Saleh because of his association with the Jets. The man had, number one, I think he has to explain why was he involved in the selection of Zach Wilson. But if you look at what he's done with that defense without Nick Bosa and without Fred Warner, and the fire he has on that sideline, and the fact that most head coaches are successful on their second stint. Look at Andy Reid, got better after 4 NFC championships. I think Robert Saleh, wherever he goes, is going to be a heck of a head coach. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and this is not an indictment on any. I just want to say this is not an indictment on anybody or on Stefanski or nothing. I don't want to be, I think Saleh would be a better option for Miami than Stefanski. that's where I stand. I get it. Look, again, one thing I look at when I'm looking at his stuff here, both sides of the ball. He was was defense coordinator of the Niners for 3 seasons, went to the Jets. We know what happened in New York. We know what a dumpster fire that is. He was an offensive assistant with Green Bay. He's the defense coordinator. He was after the Jets, he went to Green Bay. So he knows John Eric Sullivan. And then he went back to the Niners, and look what they did again. So to me, if you were to tell me, Bobby, Stefanski or Saleh, I'd take Saleh. I think he would fall into that whole patient, let's build this up. Let him instill the culture in Miami with John Alex Sullivan. I think that would work. So I know there's a lot of people that are down on Saleh because of what happened with the Jets. I think people should take what happened with the Jets as the Jets. It's more Jets than Saleh. I think there's a reason why he's getting all these interviews. I think there's a reason why people are trying to throw him here and there. And, he's getting, some teams are going to grab him and some teams are going to be great. It's going to do a great job with him. He's going to be a lot better than he was with the Jets. And he wasn't bad with the Jets. It's just the Jets were the Jets. And again, I would say go look at Sam Darnold, even though that's a different thing, but guys do better when they leave the Jets, and he's done better. So Saleh I like a lot. I do like him as an option.
As a side note, before we continue, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate everyone watching tonight. We might be back tomorrow if I'm willing to host for the two people who couldn't join tonight. I showed up. Bobby, I'm the one disappointment I have. I will tell you this: it's good for them, but for my research, one guy I was really interested in scouting this off during the off season is gone into the transfer portal. I'm sure you saw that. The one guy I've been mentioning for a long time was Darian Mensah. How amazing will it be that 3 years in a row, they're going to get a transfer? That talks about what they've done with that program.
I was at work when I got that text earlier today. Because we got the Caneswear podcast and we got that news trickling before it kind of broke, before he entered hey, he's going to enter the portal. He's more like he's coming to Miami where they're hearing from the boosters. And I was like, what? I was like, hold on. I was like, whoa, I love it. It's awesome. And again, Miami, man, you went Cam Ward, you got Carson Beck, and now you could end up with Mensah, which more than likely you will. I know there's some kind of contract thing you got to do. That's awesome. It's great. And I'll tell you this in regards, like I was saying,
earlier. That possible? I read earlier, I think they just signed 2 kickers.
They did, yeah, so they can compete, yeah.
What? 2 kickers. Why would 2 kickers want to go into the transfer portal to compete?
I don't know, man. They're competitors, dude. I'll say this. I thought you were to bring this up with the U. Somebody got confused on another show I saw in a comment, and so I want to clarify. I brought up, when I saw Chris Shula, I was like, he has a relationship with a lot of these players because he loves Zach Thomas.
Jason Taylor thing?
I would love to see if what he's done in Miami on the Hurricanes. I'd love to see him have an opportunity as a defensive coach in the NFL, especially in Miami. If you could bring him on as your, I don't know about DC, but as a linebackers coach, promote maybe, or bring him in as your DC. I think he's ready. What he's done in Miami with Ruben Bain and those guys.
Is your linebackers coach?
Well, again, I don't know about Zach Thomas as your linebacker, but I know Jason Taylor as your.
But Zach Thomas is something else.
Love Zach. I love them all. Those are my 2 favorites. Those are my guys.
No Knox or Tane and Madison. They weren't terrible either.
Yeah, dude, that whole day. Brock Marion, Tim Bowens. I always butcher his name. Awale Agoulier was one back in the day. You know what I'm talking about. Those are the days. For sure. See, those were my days there. But anyway.
Yeah, so now Chris Shula, we already talked about him throughout the show. It's been a lot in the comments. He has experience really, really, really in the NFL. He was there for 1 year with Mike McCoy. Outside of that, he's been under Sean McVay's tutelage. So that's the only knock I will give on him, is that I sort of want to get away from the Shanahan tree. That's the only knock on him. McVay, the mentality, the mindset. I think that Shula will, if we get him, I'll be happy. But the pressure there. I like the fact that a lot of the other coaches have moved around a lot. Most of his career has been with the same franchise in the coaching realm, learning from one guy, not learning from multiple people. Stefanski's moved around. Kubiak has moved around.
I think that's fair. That's something that I was looking at.
The only knock on him. The only knock.
Yeah,
I still want to be happy with our head coach.
Fair. I think that's fair. I will say it's the same thing with John Eric Sullivan, because I think Rob in the comments, Dolphins Thirsty, said it about Green Bay's drafting history. I brought up their draft histories to kind of prep Dolphin fans of what you might see with Miami, but I will preference that though with just because a guy comes from a place or comes from a tree, a certain branch off somebody, doesn't mean they're going to be exactly like that. Doesn't mean that Shula will be exactly like Shanahan or McVay. He might be something different. I'm sick of people saying the pressure on him would be too much. Crazy. He's a Shula.
Bobby, I want to. Okay. My favorite show, one of my favorite shows. On a side note, I am a Tyler Sheridan obsessive person.
Yeah.
Watch 1883, watch 1923, watch all of Yellowstone, watch Lioness, watch Tulsa King, watching.
There's a new one with Kurt Russell and Michelle Pfeiffer coming out.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, and then there's 4-6 going to come out one day. There's the Marshalls, Why Marshalls coming out on CBS, on Paramount. But my favorite show, the best show on television, best show on streaming is Landman. Okay? By a country mile, best show. As Billy Bob says on the first episode of season 1 at the dinner table, God, I beg you for patience. That's about it. Yeah. That's what Dolphins have. That's the way that John Eric Sullivan and the Green Bay Packers, because people are saying, when you watch their game when they were playing, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, if Tucker Kraft is playing, they don't lose that football game. So the people they have picked up as draft players, they've been very smart in the draft. Okay, so and they picked the play. They went to get Micah Parsons at the right time. If Micah Parsons is on that field, they probably win that football game. So, because I want to give you a crazy stat, which is something we bet Bobby. I want to give side note, guys, people watching in the comments. I want to hear a crazy stat. You will not believe this. How many times in your memory, in the 6 years that Tua has been the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, has he led us back to victory in the fourth quarter? Can you count on one hand?
No.
Ready for this stat? You won't even believe it. The Chicago Bears this season, they won 11 games. Ready for this one? Ready for this stat of the 11 wins?
Yes.
7 of them happened when they were behind and took the lead with under 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. 7 of their 11 wins took place in the last 2 minutes, Bobby, of the fourth quarter. Is that not bananas? When's the last time you and I came on a postgame show and said, oh my God, the Dolphins came back and won a football game in the last minute of a football game? Maybe it was the Dallas game where it was tied and it was a field goal game for Jason Sanders, where you came on the show and made fun of me and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Jason Sanders, right? So when's the last time we could say the Bears did it 7 times this season with comeback wins inside of 2 minutes? That is bananas. That is fourth quarter clutch. It's not sustainable, but that's insane. You have to watch. Why? Because, Bobby, what was the number one problem we have with the Miami Dolphins? We don't play from quarter 1 to quarter 4. We play for the first half, and then the rest of the game doesn't count. Yeah. Right? So the last person, before an hour, I know you've given me an hour of your time, so I appreciate it. I just want to go over the last person. Then we're going to do our picks for this weekend, and then we'll call it a night because I want you to go enjoy time with your family and have supper. So I appreciate you, and I'll probably be back tomorrow night with the gang. The person I've been flagging all season, Bobby, the guy I believe is going to be the next star head coach in the NFL, who was very successful in college, had a stint in Carolina, is getting to work with everyone's dream quarterback in the NFL, he always puts his team on his back. I love the fact that they're bringing in Joe Brady. If you're going to bring in a young guy who's a hot name, a person who, and by the way, he got a request from the Ravens. The Ravens also. This is a guy that people are talking about. I like Joe Brady. Success, young, confident. I believe he's the right coach for the way the Dolphins are right now. The man has worked with a star for the last couple of seasons. So the fact that he knows what a good quarterback looks like and has had success with him and was his coach when he got his first MVP season, that for me is a guy who, if he was named our head coach, I would be ecstatic. Your thoughts on Joe Brady?
Yeah. He that remember I told you I know Alex loves Joe Brady.
Brett loves Joe Brady.
Yeah. So you kept saying one thing you kept saying was he's worked with a star quarterback. So did Adam Gase.
No, but he's been without.
Hold on.
He failed first. He failed. He worked with Peyton Manning at the end of his career.
So did Joe Philbin. You know, I'm very.
They didn't get him MVPs.
I don't give a damn.
And they weren't young. Joe Philbin wasn't young at the time.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying. I'm hearing you again. I would be okay with
Brian Daboll was older. This is a 36-year-old guy.
But yeah, there it is. Yeah, Daboll had Josh Allen too. How did that work out? I'm gonna tell you, this is the scary one for me. This is the one where there's so much
young. The other ones are old.
Scares the crap out.
They're old. He's young.
Yeah, but you see,
Brian Daboll,
the reason why you're saying that because he hit you. You're like, wait a minute.
Brian Daboll had a curse. You know what the curse was? Name me the last Nick Saban disciple who had success in the NFL. Name me one. Not one. Name me a Belichick disciple who's won in the NFL. That's the problem. Joe Brady has cut his own path at LSU with Ed Orgeron. Then he went to Carolina. Then he came to Buffalo. I like the fact that he's cut his teeth wherever he's gone, and he's been a coordinator. I believe he's a great up-and-coming head coach. Now, is he my first pick?
Maybe.
He's not my first pick, but he's a guy I really, really like as a future head coach in the NFL. That's just my opinion. And by the way, just for the moment, I like that they brought him in. If he doesn't get the job,
nice that they brought him in because I like the fact they brought him in. I know Alex is in and Brett, you, but again,
I'm not down on anybody except Shepard and Graham. Bother me because Graham had a very poor defense last year, and I don't think he's a leader of men. And Kelvin Shepard is still too raw, and that's basically bringing in a repeated McDaniel, somebody who you think is cool, who's a new up and coming guy, and that's why you're bringing him in. And that I don't want them to go that route. But in the end, will I support him? Yes, if they hire him, because I think he's a leader of men.
Look, I don't know. I don't want to say like, and I'm not trying to hate on it. I'm just saying that he scares me. He's that one that, oh, dude, look what he's done. Look, he's coming from this team, and blah, blah, blah. And it flops on its head. And again, this is not Chris Greer. So again, that's going to be the saving grace for me. It's a different front office, different organization style. So Joe Brady, maybe it'll work out. But again, you were saying it, and that made my point further when you kept saying, and look what a quarterback. Look what he's done with that quarterback. Look what he's done with that quarterback. Look what he's done. Yeah, look what it did with Brian Daboll. Look what it did for Joe Philbin. Look what it did for Adam Gase.
Joe Burrow.
Who had Joe Burrow?
Didn't Joe Brady have?
He wasn't the offensive coordinator. He's the passing game coordinator. That was the OC. Yeah, but he wasn't the OC. I'm just saying, look, he might be a great coach one day, and maybe if he gets to Miami, he's a great coach. Awesome, would love it. We'll
get our Brady. At least we'll get our Brady.
No, I'm going to be. I'll just tell you, I will just.
I'm just saying, I think he has potential.
He's further down the line for me.
I understand, but I'm just saying,
he's the one I go.
No, you're happy. No, you said you're happy they bring on certain one. He's the one I'm happy they brought in for an interview. Maybe he'll wow. I don't know.
Sure.
I just like him.
Maybe.
So.
And maybe he'll do great, and I'll be awesome. I'm just saying, I have my questions.
Yeah.
But okay.
So, guys, we're gonna do our last part of the show because I want Bobby to go relax and enjoy his Friday night. I appreciate him watching. We have over 158 people watching across the networks on a Friday night where we were 15 minutes late. So thank you for sticking around. We really appreciate it, the support. So, Bobby, first game tomorrow, the Buffalo Bills, Joe Brady, Josh Allen, head into Mile High Stadium.
No, sorry, you said Joe Brady again, so I laughed. You have to bring up Joe Brady.
Drink, eh? Go into Mile High Stadium to face Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos and that stout defense. What is your prediction for tomorrow's game?
Man, I picked at the start of the season. I'm trying to remember who I picked for the NFC. Well, I'm pretty sure I went Buffalo to make it to the Super Bowl. But they've been kind of odd this season. You can't trust them. They seem destined for an upset. And I think I believe Denver is going to do it. I think Denver is going to surprise everybody. I know a lot of people are like, oh, we're going to see Buffalo versus New England in the AFC Championship. I don't think you will. It's Denver's. I think I'm picking Denver to upset Buffalo.
I see the Broncos, Mile High Stadium. The Bills, if the Bills won their division and got the number 1 seed, I think they could have coasted to the Super Bowl. The fact that they finished where they finished, they almost lost to the Jaguars last week. I think the Denver defense is better than the Jacksonville defense. I think the head coach, we're not talking about an up-and-coming head coach on the sideline. Sean McDermott is actually a novice to Sean Payton. Sean Payton is no joke. Talk about an alpha male. The Broncos defense is no joke. I think they're going to drive Josh Allen nuts. I think they're going to be able to control James Cook. I don't think it will be a high-scoring game, and I think the Broncos will take it. Next game that night, which I think the 49ers have been complaining about. I know he's sneaking in.
I see it.
I don't know if the 49ers have been complaining about this all week, that they're on the short week. You can wait back, Bob Brody. You can wait back. You're live on air. Is the San Francisco 49ers injury-plagued, head into Clint Kubiak, Mike McDonald. Someone made a joke. How many people on the street, if you go on the street right now in the U.S. and ask them who the head coach was of the Seattle Seahawks, could you name them? No one knew it was Mike McDonald. But the Seattle Seahawks and the 13th man, who do you got in that game?
Seattle versus San Francisco. I'm going Seattle.
People have no faith in Sam Darnold, but I think Mike McDonald is a good coach. I think that Kim Kubiak is going to call a very good game for Sam Darnold, where he is not the reason why they win, but he's also not going to be the reason why they lose. And I think Seattle will continue on. Next, we have the Drake May, Mike Vrabel Patriots against the defense that I think is absolutely no joke. They're my sleeper pick. The Houston Texans with Petrie and Stingley and Hunter. I told everybody last week on my pick'em that they were going to swarm and embarrass Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was right. Patriots and Texans. Do the Texans go into Foxborough and upset the New England Patriots?
No. New England is man. I told you also.
Shame on you.
So. Nope.
Yeah. I believe that defense, they scored 16 points against the Chargers in that offensive line. I think Drake May is good, but I think that defense is just better. And I think defense is going to win out in all of these games. And I think the Texans are going on to face the Broncos. Next,
you have the Texans?
I have the Texans.
Wow. All right.
I'm sticking with my picks that I've had all year.
Swerve coming
last week, by the way, I can call my cousin. I was on a call with people. I'm sick. I got every game right last week.
Yeah, but you didn't win the Fins TV pick'em
because I'm an idiot.
Because I got the ring, brother.
No,
it hasn't come yet. So I'm gonna.
How did he send it by pigeon?
This piece of tape
Did
Is
he
it
send
a-
it by pigeon?
Woo!
Did he send it by pigeon?
I don't know, man. It's coming from
By the
Puerto
way,
Rico.
DSG didn't show up tonight, but I do. But it isn't on. It is in Canada now because it came from the States. But by next week's show, I will be sporting my Devon Achan jersey.
There you go.
I did not return it. I could have pulled that one. Eh?
There you go.
Next, you got the Chicago Bears, the Cardiac Kids of the Midwest. It's gonna be 15 degrees there, I think, on kickoff. Facing Matthew Stafford, MVP, probably. Sean McVay, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, a defense that you love. Devontae Adams is a Bears killer.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts, Rams, Bears?
The Bears. I'm going with the Bears, man.
I think experience wins out. And I think McVay.
That's what Stafford, I had the Buffalo. I had the Buffalo and the Rams. I'm pretty sure.
I got the Rams,
but I'm going.
It'll be a Rams, Seahawks, and it will be Texans, Broncos. I'm not going to spoil my Super Bowl pick, but I bet you'll be surprised.
Okay.
So we'll save that for next week. I appreciate you, Bobby. What do you got going on FTSN this weekend? I already know, but you can also explain what you got going on.
No, just tomorrow I will be live on the No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. We are going to do a Rumble rewatch. I have a problem with my R's, so we have a Rumble rewatch. So we're gonna watch. I'm watching actually right now. That's what I was doing. I was hanging out with my youngest in the bed there. She was on her tablet watching whatever she was watching, Mickey Mouse, and I was watching the 1994 Royal Rumble.
Thank you, Eliana, for letting me borrow your dad for an hour.
Yes, she was very nice about it. I thought she was gonna get mad. I was like, "Are you okay if I go see Mr. Evan and do a show?" She's like, "Okay, I'll be quiet." And she lowered her tablet. She actually left though. But she got sick of me pretty quick, but that's all right. And so we're gonna do that on tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. I got a basketball game tomorrow as well before that show. Sunday, we here on FTSN will have the Canes Wear podcast live with the crew. Sure, talking about Mansa, but most importantly, talking about that national championship game on Monday night. So get ready. Hurricanes, Indiana, Mendoza, Beck, Tony, Fletcher, and my mother's dying because she hates to root against Mendoza. But I was like, we could root against him now, root for him later. But that's gonna be great. So we'll have that Sunday night for a pregame pre-show, and then we'll be back at it, for another good week of FTSN content, man. Thursday nights you could we were on Wednesday, but Thursday nights you catch me and Finn Sammy on Finn's Talk Today, which was a lot of fun. Excited to get that back going. Evan,
there was a really annoying troll throughout the entire show.
I'm saying there was this one guy, this giant,
right? What a troll,
the troll under the bridge there.
I was very good. I'm very entertaining in the comments.
Yeah,
I find myself. I laugh at my own comments.
That's all that matters, man. As long as you make yourself laugh. On the clock, we'll be back next week as well. Once Josh comes back,
Finn's Talk will be there, I'm sure, at one point.
Yeah. And then Real Talk Finn's Talk.
We'll be back. I'll be back.
Maybe, depending on who the guys show up, I'm getting these messages. Oh, what about our intro? Why don't you show up to your show? Why am I getting called in on my off day?
I show up to my show.
Not you. Them.
They want me to do a show tomorrow night, so maybe we'll be back.
Maybe we'll see. Let me hold my breath.
Wink,
I'm
wink.
Dead. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
guys,
I was happy to do this, man.
NFL football, appreciate it. NFL football is a lot of fun. It's not boring in Dolphins land. It's honestly the most entertaining. The NFL, Bobby, I've never had so much fun with the number of people that are being interviewed, the number of people that are being inquired upon. The NFL is, I'm telling you, taking life of its own. The only thing that pissed me off this week, and the only thing I hope for, I want to give you perspective, guys, because Dolphin Thirsty might still be here. Give everyone perspective. The cap in the NFL this season, Bobby, was $304 million. And you have to staff 53 active roster players, plus your practice squad, etc. The Los Angeles Dodgers payroll at this exact moment is just shy of $417 million for 25 players. That is absolutely ridiculous. I will be joining hopefully soon because I've just been busy with Russ. Him and I have been going at it all day. there needs to be a freaking salary cap in in Major League Baseball.
He texts me all the time. He's like, I texted Evan. He doesn't show up. I was like, I'm sorry.
I've been texting with him all day. I was like, I just have been crazy this week, but I answered him all day today. We've been going back and forth. But no, guys, honestly, the Dodgers make me sick. Honestly, they're now in the level for me as the Jets, the Patriots, and the Bills. That's where I throw the Dodgers in there with that group. What they've tried to pull off with the way they win World Series, no homegrown talent, the opposite of what we want the Dolphins to do. We want them to develop their talent. Don't go trade for it. Develop it. Blossom. Guys, I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as my El Jefe brother always says, fins up.